Are you interested in personal trainer branding and marketing within the gym? Stay tuned. Welcome to this episode within the KIPS Podcast, where we have guest Pat Rigsby, where we're going to be talking about personal trainer branding within the gym, how to market your services, and we're going to get into some nitty-gritty items in terms of client list building that you probably never thought of. But before we get that, I want to quickly talk about audience building. With audience building, you probably think that you don't need to do that if you are a personal trainer working inside a gym. That's because most likely that gym handles part of that. But I will say, if you want to create leverage, that if you want to have these tough conversations with your fitness manager, or if you want upward mobility, you want to build your own audience. What does that mean? If you've ever seen a personal trainer or group fitness instructor that they go to different gyms and people follow them, they maybe just pay for a one-day pass. I have one in my mind that I'm thinking of right off the bat. But these types of instructors, they have leverage that if they want a higher rate, they want to get paid more, it's an easier conversation. So what is the takeaway from that? I will say, create your own website. Create blog posts that have keywords that are going to really attract people in your audience. And also make sure when you're creating content that it's engaging content that people in the community are going to see and want to work with you. Let's get to this episode with Pat Rigsby. If you are already a personal trainer working in a gym and you are utilizing some of these, let us know in the comments what some extra tips you might throw in or ones that you liked from the episode. For our listeners, Pat, can you share a brief background on how you got into the fitness industry, what you're doing now, and anything you got going on right now?
Wow, it's been a long and kind of winding road, but I started out, I was, I got my first certification when I was 20 years old. And really the first leg of my professional life, I worked at a university. I was the head baseball coach, the head strength coach, taught in the sports sciences department. Did that for about 7 years and then moved into the private sector, worked kind of as like a district manager for the biggest franchisee of Gold's gyms in the industry at the time, doing, district manager over personal training that was contracted in there. Mm-hmm. Opened up my first business way back in 2004, had a second business, then it just kind of snowballed from there. I've co-founded a couple of franchise organizations and exited those. I've had certification companies, equipment companies, kind of you name it. And today, most of my time is coaching fitness, health, sports performance business owners, a little bit of consulting. And then, I have an equity stake in a few other businesses and kind of just play more of a strategy and advisory role there.
I dig it. And today's topic, I think you'll be pulling from all areas with your background. And I think that's great for our listeners. We're going to be talking about building a fitness career, building hopefully more income into your pocket. Those are things that as a new personal trainer, new group exercise instructor, you typically don't hear those types of things. So hopefully we will talk about strategies, ways that people can implement these things right away. I think that is one of my bigger focuses over the last year, because when you jump into topics and content around the realities of personal training, typically income is not one of those big things that you're going to see. And with your background, I know that you're a great guest for this. Let's kick it off with talking about business strategies. I think right now is one of those, the fitness industry marketing is kind of going into a new direction. We've seen a lot of changes with social media. We've seen a lot of changes with how people are marketing their websites. What are some strategies, some fitness business strategies that you can forecast or see for the next 5 to 10 years?
So the way that I try to think about this, and maybe this will help somebody, because I know what you had kind of led into. I don't think most of us get into the industry because we're passionate about business, right? I certainly didn't. I had no business background. So I try to build around things that are relatively timeless and then you use technology and trends to make the most of those, to leverage those. And, I mean, let's face it, people are always going to want to be a better version of themselves. I mean, we can look back at things dating from the 1800s and see advertisements for self-improvement. People are always going to do better with coaching. They're always going to do better with accountability. They're always going to want a good value exchange. People don't necessarily want something inexpensive, but they want to feel like they got a good deal. They want to feel like they got their money's worth. So I try to build around these things. I try to build around the marketing side of marketing personal training or health services or fitness services. What's in it for the person that we want to serve, right? So much of what you see out there now, it's talking about my program, my process, whatever else. And I mean, let's face it, we're operating in an era now where getting somebody's attention is harder than it's ever been because there's so many different things vying for people's attention.
Yep.
Maintaining somebody's attention is even more challenging because, I mean, they're scrolling to the next thing, the next reel, the next clip, whatever, seconds later.
Yeah.
So if we want to get their attention, maintain it, I think we build around those kind of timeless things, what they want, what they value, but then we make it about them. Like, what problems are you uniquely trying to solve? What goals do you uniquely have? And you can't really be a generalist anymore because it's very much an industry on the upswing. Mm-hmm. There's more demand, there's more awareness, but it also means you've got to stand out. You've got to get people's attention. And the easiest way to get somebody's attention is by playing to their self-interest. What do they want? What problems are they trying to solve? And if you speak to that, now we can get their attention. Now we can kind of earn that ongoing interaction. And then at that point, I think, and this is not something I hear a lot about, but I think they have to have some time with your brand. And I say brand, I don't mean colors and logos. I mean, like what you're about, who you help, how you help them. And so we have to win them over and then earn that ongoing interaction with your brand. And that, like, if we're talking about online marketing, I think that's the strategy. And then which platform you choose is more tactical, right? The format that you deliver content, more tactical. So I think that's the first part when it comes to marketing, what's going to be happening going forward. But I'll tell you the second part of this that I think is paramount from a marketing standpoint is, I mean, we're in a personal relationship, kind of personal services industry. And so many people are quick to say, how do I connect with this person online when they may be 20 feet away from you in the gym? Mm-hmm. How can we start a conversation? How can we connect with somebody? How can we show them that we can help them and, build a relationship that way? I mean, we're not married exclusively to using this online channel. Online is great because we're all connecting that way, just like you and I are doing this here. But I also know that, I've been kind of notorious for sending a daily email for a long time. It's about 19 years without missing a day. Mm-hmm. And wow. I could build a relationship probably in a matter of 20 minutes, spending time with you face to face, that would it would surpass anything that I could do sending you emails for a year or two. And so if we can get in that interactive kind of personal environment and connect with somebody there, that I think it's just never going away. So if we're trying to think about how do I market, the best scenario is we combine those two things, the personal kind of interaction and then creating this client-centric brand that gets this person to spend time with your brand in order to kind of be a precursor to a coach-client relationship.
Nice. I want to go back to the brand part of it because that is actually pretty relevant to some of the thoughts that I've been sharing. And when I say that I'm sharing them, it's mostly my wife has to listen to whatever thought comes into my head for the week. And it's branding, though. With branding, an example that some of the listeners, it's not related to fitness at all, but there is an artist out there by the name of Post Malone. And I was sharing with her about, I've seen some content about what he used to look like before he became Post Malone. And if I was to show this content to anybody listening to this or watching this episode on YouTube, they'd be like, "That these are not the same people." And they'd be like, wait a minute. But that is his brand that he puts out there now with the tattoos, the hairstyle, the smoking, the drinking, the partying brand that he's putting out there, that if you heard him speak, you'd be like, wait a minute, this doesn't seem like a Post Malone person. But that is the persona. That is what he's trying to put out there. And that's what people latch onto. And with the gym setting, personal trainers, group exercise, anybody in the fitness industry, a lot of the individuals out there that are doing it well, if you scroll through YouTube, you will see their brand, what they're putting out there. So what advice can you give for a personal trainer that hears this and they're thinking, I don't know how to do that. I just got in the industry. I don't know what my brand is. Am I going to have too much conflict, or do I have to be this person all the time? What would you say to that personal trainer?
So I think the conflict part of it's really interesting, right? Because I think that one of my kind of pet peeves, having kind of been in this industry and met a lot of people in person that I originally connected with online, is like the easiest thing for me is when the person online matches the person that I meet face to face. That's where, there's the foundation of a long-term relationship, a long-term, kind of a long-term connection. But I think of brand very much as what people say about you, think about you, know about you when you're not there.
Yeah.
And, for an artist like that, like, okay, well, who do they want to attract? What do they want to be known for that'll stand out and make them distinctive? In some ways, who's spending money on attending concerts or, paying music? All of that's relevant. So you have to think in your lane, basically, okay, who do I want to attract? Mm-hmm. What are they actually looking for? And usually people are looking for their own self-interest when we're talking about our industry, right? They want to be a better version of themselves. They want to lose weight, alleviate pain, feel younger, fend off aging is probably just another way of saying that. Become better on the court, on the field, improve performance. And so the easiest thing I would tell you is make sure that you're speaking to that. It is like they're the hero, you're the guide. And so we want to speak to that person. But then, we also need to create a brand that's distinctive, that stands out, and they feel like, okay, this is the right person to help me get to where I want to go. I mean, because ultimately, somebody needs to know you exist, which is honestly probably the hardest part, right? You have to go from invisible to visible. I mean, I email an audience of tens of thousands of people every day. And what that means is there are billions of people on this planet that I am completely invisible to, right? So, you have to be visible first. And then people have to believe you can help. And then people have to like you, because we want to work with people that we like in some way, shape, or form. Yeah. And then they have to feel like this kind of partnership together can get them from where they are to where they want to be. And so our brand has to convey this, and it has to check all of these boxes. And again, it's probably pretty easy to do that in person. You can have a conversation with somebody, you can learn about them. So it's a two-way conversation, and know their problems and know their goals and answer there, and do it in a way that they can gain trust and they can gain confidence. But online, you have to know who you're speaking to so you can do the best you can to check those boxes, even though you're kind of speaking to a hypothetical person, rather than knowing the person, on the other end of the conversation intimately.
Yeah. One more question in this round before we move on to the next topic with marketing more. For a new personal trainer that is entering the industry, they have their brand already set or their niche that they want to work with. How do you recommend that individual go to their manager, their fitness manager, and what information should they share with them in order to help that connection and hopefully growing a business?
So the first thing that I would probably recommend in that scenario is, okay, why have they chosen this? Is it because they feel like this is where the opportunity is, or do they have experience? And if you've got experience helping somebody in this, in this lane, then I convey that, say, hey, this is what I specialize in. This is who I help. And then we're going to look for marketing distribution within the facility, right? Yeah. And depending on what the latitude is, well, we can go and try to get new consults that specifically might gravitate to that. Those are the best, right? Because those are the people kind of in this period of change right now. They're looking for something new. They just joined. They're eager to invest time and money and energy. And they're also kind of out of their comfort zone, which any of these steps is kind of a move from your comfort zone to a little bit of discomfort. The second thing I would probably do is say, okay, well, what other ways can we distribute this? Is there an email database? Is there an online platform for the facility that you can market it? Is there any internal marketing that we can do? Text broadcast? Can we reach out to segments of the inactive audience? Because there may very well be people who are inactive. Obviously, the gym wants them to be active. Mm-hmm. So say, hey, would you be interested in coming in and meeting with this trainer, this coach for 2 free sessions on us to, alleviate back pain, or, he works specifically with people 50 and over, or whatever it is. And, if we can find some sort of alignment where this is good for the gym, like, hey, it's going to make the gym stickier. It's going to create better retention. It's going to pull some of those people who are at risk, right? They're not coming in, pull them back into the facility and let them derive some value from the facility. Like, those are the best places to start, in my opinion.
Fantastic. Next level too, and you took it to tapping into the digital aspects that the gym might have with the database, the text messages. Fantastic. Those are things that I've been trying to hammer in some of the content, just the standalone videos that I've made for the KIPS YouTube channel, with speaking with your fitness manager immediately, letting them know that you're hungry. Here's what the audience that you want to work with, but someone like yourself that has this vast background and working with different franchises. It's great that you're reinforcing this point and saying, hey, here's what you should do, because some trainers, they'll wait for it to come to them. They'll wait for the sheet in their inbox or emails. Here's a potential consultation. Go immediately talk to the person that's distributing these fitness consultations, and hopefully get on their radar for clients that are coming across their desk. And here's what I want to work with, because they might have more ideas, just how you mentioned right there. Fantastic. Let's move now to talking about marketing with the gym. This is a popular question that just even in the online conference that I had last month, somebody asked about their marketing within the facility. I know that there might be limitations here or there, but I know that you already touched on some of those. But what kind of marketing would be appropriate for a personal trainer in a gym? And what do you think would be efficient for them?
So I think, assuming you have kind of carte blanche, you have no restrictions. Well, every day I'm going to try to at least connect with 1 or 2 new people, right? I'm going to meet people in the gym and be seen as helpful, because, like, again, if I'm thinking about my brand, I have to check all these boxes. They have to know I exist. They have to know that I can solve their problems. They have to like me. And then, it has to sync that they need the help. So I have to stay in front of them.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing that I'm going to do. And that's an everyday thing. The second is if I have the ability to go and influence who is getting new consults, that is going to be my best source of lead flow. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I used to go to the sales reps because they were the ones booking the initial consults. And I would incentivize them. I'd say, hey, if I get 5 consults today, I'll buy you lunch tomorrow. And it's simple. Right? And at that point, it's not like I had a bunch of disposable income to work with, but everybody wants free lunch. So, so it could be that easy. Then I would go and say, okay, do I have access to any sort of database? People that didn't get booked, people who may have booked and canceled. Do I have access to an email database? Can you send out broadcasts to book people? I mean, I've gone through like the birthdays for the month of February, and everybody whose birthday is in February, we're giving a free session to a free consult. Nice. And, we're going to push that way. And then internally, anything that I can do from internal signage, whether it's sandwich board type stuff, on the wall, whatever we can do, I'm going to do. But I'm also going to try to create events. I'm going to try to create things that garner some interest. Maybe it's if I'm working with athletes, hey, I'm going to hold a speed clinic on Saturday morning. I may do something for a workshop for, active aging on Saturday morning the next week. The next week, maybe, depending on where my strengths are, I'm going to try to keep hitting hot buttons until I connect with people. I'm always going to say, okay, the best sales tool I have is time with me. So if I can get time together with you, if I can display that I can help, that I can build, that I can help you solve your problems, achieve your goals, that's going to be my best avenue to position myself as that partner in this journey. And then at the end of that time with me, whether it's one-on-one or a workshop or whatever, I'm going to make an offer to continue to work together.
Yeah. I will say you're bringing up old memories for me right now. I'm recalling a time when I worked at a big facility in Southern California, and I actually looked up in the database sessions or individuals that were inactive, but still had sessions, and basically tried to convince them to come finish those sessions, 1, 2, 3 sessions of maybe a 10, 20 personal training package, and then hopefully sell them on those. And those are things that if you were to go to your manager, ask for a printout on those, they'd be like, of course, here, please, let me show you how to find these things, because one, it's showing how proactive you are, but that's a potential sale right there. Did sales come from it? Yes. Did all of them hit? No. But at least you're rendering these sessions that are already there. And I love how you keep mentioning digging into the databases, trying to find those types of pieces. Because when I first said marketing, I'm sure people thought we're talking about social media, how Instagram, Facebook, how that plays into how you're going to market yourself as a personal trainer. Do you think that a trainer that's working in a gym, do you think they can leverage those types of tools?
Yeah, I think that they work hand in hand, right? The personal stuff, the internal stuff, and then you creating a brand online, because I think we're all curious, right? Like if I want to learn about a coach or trainer, right now it's at my fingertips. I can go look up their social media stuff. I can look them up on LinkedIn. I can see if there are any videos they've created on YouTube, and I'm going to do some homework. But I also know that if you've already invested money to come in this facility, like that's already one of the sticking points that if I'm putting content out to the world, well, I already have kind of a captive audience. You're already a member here. I know that you find it convenient enough to come in and do business with. So I'm going to start from the inside and work my way out. And sure, I'm going to create that stuff. But it's fascinating to me when somebody will avoid a conversation with somebody who's within feet of them to go make a post on social media or run an ad in hopes of connecting with that same person.
I like that. And with the social media part of it, I know that from a gym perspective of it, just from conversations I've had in the last month, I know that some gyms that I know and I speak with, that they are trying to increase their click or their check-in. I can't say click. I'm thinking more of marketing here. Their check-in rate and trying to keep their retentions higher. And I think that social media might be one of those pieces. I know that some chains, they don't like to allow collaboration tags, but I feel like that's almost part of the change in how things are being marketed these days. You have that access to tap into other audiences organically. Do you think that there's potentially some things being left on the table with that?
Well, I think all of us should be celebrating the successes of our clients left and right, right? Yeah. One of my favorite things that a lot of our clients do is they have like even a little dry erase board that'll say something along the lines of, my favorite thing about blank gym is. So even if they're not great on camera, even if they're not comfortable being interviewed or doing some long form testimonial, they can certainly write something there, take a picture, we can post it, tag them. We can tag people for anniversaries and post about that. I mean, I have clients that do frequent sweaters clubs, people who had so many check-ins, people who, hey, this is my 100th workout, my 200th workout. And so I think that anytime that we can celebrate these successes, it's recognizing the people that we have. So it keeps them, it's stickier, right? But then invariably, you're going to have somebody that knows them in the community, somebody that connects with them, people that are going to like those posts, people that are going to comment on those posts. And so now it's not just the gym, maybe this faceless, nameless brand that they may not be connected with. No, it's my neighbor goes there, my coworker goes there, the person I go to church with goes there.
Yep.
Now there's this other thread of connection that's working to retain people and attract people that, frankly, isn't part of your marketing budget. It's part of your retention.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not sure how this next question is going to fit in with the overall here, but I think it is one that people have been asking left and right, is the use of AI tools with marketing and with advertising. Where do you see AI tools fitting into all this?
I think AI is great as long as you're using it to augment the things that are unique about you. Because ultimately, you're becoming a commodity if you're letting it speak for you, right? Because it can speak for all of us and it doesn't allow us to be distinctive. But it certainly can create topic ideas for us. It can create
100%.
Outlines for us. It can give us a starting point for all sorts of things. It can probably allow us to go through and say, okay, this is something I've created that worked really well. Give me 5 more topics like it.
Yeah.
But, at some level, you got to interject you into things. And there are AI tools for about anything under the sun at this point, and they're all potentially valuable. Well, the ones that are valuable to us can all help us move forward. They just, you can't allow them to speak for you, or else the things that do make you unique, that do make you inherently valuable, you're just commoditizing.
Yep, agree. I think, and those are ways that I've used. I just want to say that for topic ideas, or getting ideas for maybe a 500-word blog, but then interjecting yourself into those to make it unique and to put that expert opinion into it, so that it's not just being generated from an AI source. I do think that when we're talking about content now with social media, content creation, I think that those personal trainers that use social media to bring members in, I think that they then have a leg up in the conversation for raises, for the ability to ask for any types of perks down the road. And I think that has been a missing piece. In my mind, I can, throughout the steps of my career, think about great trainers that their their clients were going wherever they were with them, but also they were marketing themselves and bringing people to different gyms. And I think that those people are the ones that when tough conversations come up, hey, can we discuss a raise? You have that. Well, I'm bringing in all these people to the facility, and that's all coming from their content creation. Do you think that content marketing is relevant for personal trainers?
Well, I think audience building is relevant, right? And so if we think about this from a publishing standpoint, I mean, somebody getting a big advance for a book, it's not because of the book. They haven't written the book yet, right? We don't know if the book's any good, but it's because they're bringing the audience or the potential customers with them. Yeah. So they already are perceived to be more valuable. The same thing holds true here. I don't necessarily know that content creation is the answer, because I don't think that, you can just check the box and say, okay, I put out these pieces of content this week and therefore I'm valuable. Yep. No, but audience building is valuable. Relationship creation is valuable. And so picking a way to create content, to distribute content that allows you to attract an audience, that makes you really valuable.
Yeah, agree. 100%. And I like how you tied those pieces together there. I'm going to ask one more question before we get to the podcast takeaways. Just want to, because we went all over the place and great pieces so far that people can take away and apply immediately. Do you have any suggestions for free resources out there that you really have liked over the years, or even ones that are still relevant from maybe when you first started in the industry?
I think like a lot of people early on here, I was definitely working with pretty tight budget, but there's so much good information out there. More than ever. I'm a guy that dates back to, using a library card. So that's a ways back, right? But there's so many good podcasts. There's so many good videos out there. I've got a client that built his own house from watching YouTube videos. It's amazing. So there's no paywall in front of the good content anymore. There are so many good resources. The challenge is how do we distill it down and know what to focus on? So, I would go and, this podcast is a perfect example. You can go through and somebody paying attention to us now can go back through and kind of binge the topics that are really relevant to them. And when I started in this industry, you would have had to go to a conference to get that caliber of information. You'd have to fly somewhere, drive somewhere, stay in a hotel, pay for admission to do that. And now it's right with us. We can carry it with our phone and get access at our fingertips. So my recommendation, sample a few things like this, find something you connect with, and then binge, and you're going to get probably as good a practical education as people, one season before you in our industry got, traveling the country, going to seminars and conferences.
Next level response. And I wouldn't expect anything else from you, Pat. Great one right there. Let's get to the podcast takeaways. And with this one being about fitness, business, fitness careers, I only thought it was relevant to adjust the last question here. What are 3 myths about fitness, business, building, or careers?
So the first one I will tell you is when I got into this, I think the general consensus, and so long even since then, is kind of you're sacrificing the ability to build wealth in your career because you want to do something you're passionate about doing, you love doing. Those two things are not mutually exclusive. You can become wealthy as a fitness professional, as a gym owner, or whatever else, because you have the ability to really influence your income by doing a lot of the things we've talked about today.
Yeah.
And, you can go and create a really significant income and turn that income into wealth. So don't think that you've taken this vow of poverty just because you want to work in our industry. I don't think that's the case at all. Mm-hmm. The second thing is that if you're just really good at what you do, people will find you. And I know that's kind of cliche and everything else, but I mean, there's just so much tugging at people's attention these days that it's your responsibility to not only be great at what you do, but it's your responsibility to make sure people know that you're great at what you do, that they experience what you do. Yeah. How you do it can happen a bunch of different ways, but it's your responsibility, if you want to further your career, to make sure people know that you can help them, that you are better, that you are different, that you can be that person in their life. And then the third one I would say is coaching, in my mind, and I use coaching more just coming from my background. It's more than a workout, right? Like, this isn't transactional. This isn't, I pay you for 45 minutes or an hour of your time where you prescribe exercises and you supervise my execution of those. This is, you know what? I'm under your care. You're my coach. You're the person I'm coming to and trusting to help go from where I am to where I want to be. And I think that the great people in our industry that I've known embrace that responsibility and that opportunity. And they said, okay, how can I help this person? How can I help them in the 165 hours that they're not with me? How can I set them to be successful? If you do that, I mean, the sky's the limit.
I like that. And I do just want to quickly go back to your first one to help get us to the end here. I feel like that has been something that I've been having to throw in at the end of some of my videos, is that this industry can be great. It can be lucrative. You just have to build relationships. You have to build your client list, build to that point, because I think some hear the horror stories, they leave too soon, or they unfortunately have to find work elsewhere. And though that is a whole can of worms there, but I think that there is a great career out there for those that want to and that are passionate about it. So I'm happy that you included that one there. Pat, can you give us information on how to find you, social media, website, podcast, all that kind of great stuff?
And all of it, right? So patrigsby.com is my website. You can jump on my newsletter. Like I said, every day for like 19 years. It's a lot of news. I have the Fitness Business School's podcast you can check out. They're usually short little snippets of just coaching ideas and stuff. And then, pretty much every social media platform, Facebook, Twitter, are both Pat Rigsby, and then Pat Rigsby 5 on Instagram. And so really it's just a lot of me trying to share all the types of things that I would with clients. It's just, like I said, I mean, there's more information available to help people get where they want to go than ever. Like what you've done here with this podcast, I'm trying to go out and just share things to help you move your career forward.
Great. And there will be links in the description for anybody listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. Or if you are finding this from the landing page, you'll be able to find Pat in the About Him section. Thank you for coming on the KIPS Podcast, taking your time, sharing some great insight today. I really appreciate it. And thank you for coming on.
My pleasure. It's been a lot of fun.